Whew. Alright, so here we go. Got another going to share with you. Just so you know, there's a lot of progress going on behind the scenes, talking to some people that are so educated. It's a little overwhelming at times. It doesn't make me nervous. I got a lot of people. I'll bet you I've had 200 people emailing me, warning me to watch out and make sure I'm armed. Ever since we were going to reveal the truth about a lot of people that are lying about some certain Sasquatch videos, etc., right? And it's kind of funny. You can talk about this topic on and on and on for months at a time. You can share the stories from various people on the planet. They have different views. They all have different experiences. But if you say one word about that Sasquatch clip, the passenger footage, which has missing clips, then all hell breaks loose. And it's always consistently those people who are opportunists that scream up and down and freak out the loudest, right? It's unfortunate. But just to let you know, there is a lot of progress being made in that topic. Basically have a list of frickin' solid characters who have seen that missing content. They've seen it and looked me in the eye and told me the details. And these people, a few of these people are unrelated, and they have the exact same story of what happened. It is what it is. It'll be coming along shortly, I'm sure. And you know what? One thing I want to try to get across to everybody, one thing that annoys me about society today is how many people are scared. It drives me nuts. There's so many people are scared. It's amazing to me. I don't understand it. Even people I've spoken to, the people, the circle I'm involved with behind the scenes, there's only one or two of them are willing to say everything flat out, blatantly open to all of you. Only a couple of them. I mean, there's people who are ex-law enforcement officers who are scared to share with you publicly what he's seen. I don't understand it. There's a TV personality that you all know who did some shows on Sasquatch, Bigfoot, went out in the woods, various people, and he has numerous experiences that he won't talk about publicly. And I'm thinking, my brain just doesn't work that way. I don't understand it. It's like, wait a minute, so you're going to do a bunch of television shows investigating, looking at, and sharing your Sasquatch or even UFO experiences, but you're not going to share those very significant experiences you had? It's amazing. I don't get it. What are you scared of? What the hell are you guys scared of? I don't know how to motivate people into sharing honestly and openly without being scared yet. I mean, I'm getting there. The people that are contacting me is pretty crazy. Their qualifications, their careers, who they're linked to, what they've done, where they work. And yes, and a lot of people some people are saying, oh yeah, you just believe every email you get. Well, it's not that simple. I just don't receive an email and rattle it off. Some of these people, they are so high up in the intelligence department. A few people now have created emails for me to log into specifically to speak with them, to cover their ass, right? And what I do is I log on, change my password, and off we go to the races. And these emails all automatically dissolve after X amount of days as well. So, but the information we're cracking open is it's somewhat overwhelming. I'm not overly freaked out at all. I'm not scared of anybody or what may be coming, what happening. I'd rather die honest and not scared than stay alive dishonest and scared. Let's put it that way, and that's a fact. But get back to certain TV personality. The people that guided him into the woods of British Columbia flat out told me that he woke screaming in the middle of the night, screaming like a little child, panicking, because a Sasquatch had pushed down through his tent and was holding him down on the ground, making him writhe in panic. Why didn't he share that experience publicly? Why didn't he share that on the television show? I haven't a clue. What are you scared of? I don't know. But that's another topic we can all discuss another time. Discuss it amongst yourselves. But if anybody can come up with the perfect recipe for me to use to encourage people to not be scared of anybody, please send it my way. I got some big use for it. But here we go. I got another one here. It looks like a bit of a long one. It should be a good one. Actually, I shouldn't say it should be a good one. Everybody's encounter is good, whether it's teeny tiny, insignificant, or 16 paragraphs. It's all the same. It's all knowledge shared with all of us. It's somebody's honest experience and sharing it, and that's what it is. So it makes it good, no matter how long it is or what happened. Here we go. Here's another one. Hey Steve, my name is Ryan. I want to thank you for speaking freely about these beings in your channel and providing a channel for people like myself to not be ridiculed for seeing something we did not ask for. I've never shared my story with any social media group or BFRO because seeing them on TV, I don't want to put myself out there like that. Like so many of the people that have shared, I too am an avid outdoorsman. My earliest memories are camping, hunting, and fishing. I've had one visual sighting and a bunch of circumstantial things happen. My sighting occurred in March of 2001 just east of Titusville, Florida, which is east of Orlando by about 42 miles. I was with my dad, who at the time was a circuit court judge, and before that he was a Green Beret in the U.S. Army Special Forces, basically a certified badass. I now have a PhD in computer science and teach computer science at a well-respected university. We're with my friend Mike. I'm going to change his name because I didn't get permission from him, and Mike today is a U.S. Air Force pilot. Finally, we were with Mike's dad, who at the time had top security clearance. He was a career military and retired at a civilian job as an aerospace engineer at Kennedy Space Center. He wasn't allowed to talk about what he did, but he worked where the space shuttle launched and is connected to an Air Force station to the south. So you see, just like the other people that share it through you, we are hard-working, well-respected people in our community. Bravo, and thank you for that. Prior to the World Trade Center bombings December 2001, people that worked for Kennedy Space Center or Patrick Air Force Base could bring friends fishing on the base by canoe or kayak access only. These were little tributaries, depending on where you were, of either the Indian River, Banana River, or the Mosquito Lagoon. Since it was on a military base, the fishing was better because the fish weren't pressured. We were mostly fishing for redfish, and trout. Occasionally, later in the summer, you would catch a snook and tarpon. At the time of this trip, this is our 5th time as his guests, and we were fishing out of canoes. My dad and I in our canoe, and Mike and his dad in their canoe. We had put the canoe launch around sunrise and started paddling towards the south end of Mosquito Lagoon. While paddling, we came across a huge school of reds tailing in less than a foot of water, so we started to make long casts with our DOA shrimp when Mike, who saw the thing first, wasn't casting, just staring at it, and then his dad, and then finally my dad and I. This thing was covered in hair, not fur. The hair was reddish brown and it was bent over, messing with something in the water. Now when I replay it in my head to this day, I think he was looking for clams or crabs. We're not too far from it, maybe 20 yards. When it saw us, it stood up and the thing was ripped. I think it was male because it did not have tits, but his genitals were not visible. It turned and was barefoot, but the bottom of its feet were tan, and it walked right across an oyster bed, up a bank, into vegetation, all with little effort. The vegetation was impenetrable, and there were no human could walk across that razor-sharp oyster beds in bare feet, and then into the palmettos and palms. None of us felt threatened by it, and afterwards remember us trying to talk, and my dad was adamant it was, quote, swamp gas, end quote. He knew about it from his army training, and it was swamp gas. I'm curious if you ever heard others refer to them as swamp gas? I've tried to bring the topic up a couple times, and my dad basically shuts down and says swamp gas. My friend Mike to this day is still unsure what we saw. We are highly intelligent people, and we shouldn't feel ashamed for seeing these beings. No kidding. Nobody should. It's unfortunate, and hopefully we are putting an end to that currently, right? When I think back and try to estimate its size, I know it wasn't a huge one like so many have seen. I'm guessing young adult. Its shoulders were 2.5 to 3 feet across. When it turned, it was probably 24 inches thick and 6'6" tall, probably 350 pounds. But like I said, the thing that stands out most in my mind 19 years later are the muscles and how human-like the face was. A couple of weeks ago, you showed a sketch of that one your viewers sent in, and it immediately struck me that is the one. Over the last 19 years, I've tried to research these beings. There was never a thought in my head comparing it to an ape. It was a supermuscular hairy man, but proportionally larger than human. I continued to monitor the BFRO site for sightings, and in 2011, someone submitted a report of a sighting within 1.5 miles where we saw ours. This sighting was by 3 men out fishing. I've never contacted the BFRO because of the phrase in the report, saw a human, but ape-like. Now after watching your videos, I've learned that this is BFRO changing the words of the report to fit the narrative, which they have consistently been doing for a long time, alright? We've talked about them enough to dump them like a bad habit and just stop talking about them. One of the emails received was from a young man named John Townley, I think. He said he's 38 years old and also from Central Florida. His family leases hunting land in southwest Georgia near a small town called Morgan. What's significant is I own land near Cordell, Georgia, and lease hunting property near there as well. Like John says in the video, the hog population over the last 15 or so years has exploded. I looked up Morgan, and as the crow flies, it's only 56 miles away, so one of those beings would not have no trouble covering that distance. Yeah, no doubt the hogs are blowing up down there, man. I mean, Alabama's over frickin' ridden with them. Those things are everywhere. I've seen tons of them in Florida. Turkey hunting there as well. I got lots of friends in Georgia as well who shoot hogs as much as they can. I've not seen one in Georgia, however, lots of circumstantial evidence, and I'm not talking footprints, tree structures, or wood knocks. I'm talking hair on your back scared shitless because you hear a growl so loud than a blood-curdling scream. I'm not sure if it's because they have a sixth sense and know that I know about them that they approach me. This incident happened September 2012. We had planted food plots earlier in the day and set hog traps in hopes of catching some. In the afternoon, my father-in-law and I hunted different properties, more as scouting, but if a hog came out, we would have shot it. After dark, I got down from the stand and started walking back toward camp, probably half a mile away down old logging road, a trip I've made dozens of times. But when I got back to the nice side of the cabin, everything was abnormally quiet, and I got that feeling something is watching me. I take my 30-06 bolt off my shoulder, chamber around. Shortly afterwards, that's when I hear a growl that scared me shitless, and then it screamed at me. There's not a doubt in my mind what it was. I already know they exist, and I've seen one 11 years prior, 330-some miles away. My father-in-law to this day thinks I made the whole thing up and doesn't believe me because we never got one on a trail camera. And you know what? You guys might have seen me just retrieve a bunch of trail cameras earlier. I have had some weird things on a trail camera a couple times, but I've never had one clear in a trail camera. But I've seen the things. So that does not mean they do not exist. It means that our trail cameras aren't good enough to trick them. For any of you that have a little confusion there, it's not too hard to figure that one out. Our cameras aren't good enough yet. All right? We run 25 cameras year-round, and during the season we add another 30 trying to pattern specific bucks. So August until end of January, we have 55 cameras up. After that incident, I stopped carrying a 9mm when in the woods or fishing. Luckily in Florida and Georgia, when engaging in hunting and fishing, hiking or camping, you can open carry. So I now carry a Smith & Wesson Model 460, which is basically an effing cannon. Not sure if that would stop a big one of these things, but it gives me confidence. But these things have changed the ways I hunt. I'm not afraid of the dark. Instead, I'm afraid of what is in the dark in the woods. After that screaming incident, I'd no longer stay until after dark, even if deer in front of me. I'd rather spook them than deal with one of those beings after dark. I used to be in the stand well before first light. Now I don't go to the stand until after sunrise and I can see. The best time to hunt whitetails, 30 minutes before sunrise until an hour after sunrise, an hour before dark until 30 minutes after sunset. I now miss most of the prime hunting times and I'm comfortable with that. They aren't keeping me from doing what I love to do, but they changed the time I'm comfortable being in the woods. You know, I kind of relate to that. I'll admit it, I got places I just don't go anymore. I just don't go there. But I do hike in the dark solo in these mountains here behind me to get to my spots. It's just what I have to do. And I am definitely, I'll admit it flat out, I'm stressed out every single time I'm doing it because I, like this person, many of you out there, who's going to crave that experience? Who wants that to happen in the dark again, right? I don't. But as well, I can't let it destroy my life. So I completely relate to your reactions. In the suburbs where I live, I'm fine going outside at night. I know they could be out there as well, but I haven't ever had that feeling and being watched or uneasy feelings. Like you, Steve, my passion in hunting is bow hunting. But since that incident, I now carry a Smith & Wesson Model 460 and a Henry 4570 lever action with my bow. When I go pig hunting or rifle hunting, I no longer feel like the 30-06 is enough gun, so I've upgraded to a 300 Win short mag. That's what I got at my feet right now, actually. This is way too much gun for hogs and deer, but I feel safer in the woods with them. Other circumstantial things are seeing orbs of energy. If you want, I can try and look through an old trail camera pictures as I've caught the orbs on trail camera. It killed my camera after getting its picture taken. I've seen them in the woods and on trail camera. One day we shot a monster hog. I'm talking 400 pounds plus, and it ran into the swamp. We couldn't get it out. We couldn't get a quad back there or a tractor. This hog had great cutters and would make an excellent European mount for the cabin. So we got a chain and a lock and made an incision with a knife under the tongue and out the bottom of the jaw and put the lock and the chain through and attached it to a cypress tree. We didn't want the coyotes to run off with the skull. We put a camera on it just to see how long it would take for the buzzards and coyotes to eat it all. Coyotes found it like you'd think they would a couple hours after it's sitting there, and they're on camera. But the next picture was something triggered the camera and the hog was gone. When we came back a couple weeks later to check if the skull was ready, nothing was there except a broken chain with a lock attached to the cypress tree. No bones, nothing on the camera. What human is going to trespass on private property in the cypress swamp with alligators, snakes, etc. to take a dead hog where they can't get to it with mechanical tools, cut a chain, but leave the lock and leave the trail camera 15 feet away? I don't go up to Georgia very often anymore, as I now have 2 young kids of my own. I'm debating on how to introduce them to the woods. My wife believes me, and she believes in these beings without having seen one herself. The huge hog that got taken out of the swamp without a trace helped her to understand just how strong and big these things have to be. You better believe when I do introduce my kids to the woods, I'll be with them and I'll be armed as well my wife. I take my kids fishing without fear and they love it. I'm sorry this turned into 3.5 pages. This is the first time I put a pen to paper on any of this. As I mentioned earlier, I do research these beings from time to time. One thing I don't understand is if they're a predator, why in the hell would they warn us by growling or screaming at us? All the research I have done, they are really in tune to their body and able to be silent, even though they can be huge. I'm not aware of any predator that warns their prey before attacking. So if they're warning us, what are they warning us about? You're the first person I've contacted about any of this, but I've looked into what the people have to say, including Les Stroud, Dave Politis, Scott Carpenter, M.K. Davis, and the Sasquatch Chronicles. I'm excited to look into your list of other people in the coming weeks to see what information they can add to my understanding. I hope as more people come forward, you'll be able to include more information to fill in the gaps of what I don't know. Well, what a handful of excitement that is. And how about that hog getting ripped from that tree? I sure would be something else to watch. I mean, too bad our trail camera technology is too primitive at the time to successfully catch everything on them, you know? Because, you know, if we eventually do hit that plateau, we're going to definitely have some pretty intimidating trail camera videos available for all of us to watch, won't we, right? And it just takes my mind, shoots my brain straight back to when I dropped that 600-pound hog off for the native chief over the hill here to start a bait pile for them for trapping wolves, and something picked that thing up and carried it away. And then coincidentally, a friend of mine was hiking or mountain biking with his kids up the same valley and measured it on the map. It was 2.5 miles away, and he found the skull from that thing in the timber. And believe me, I have seen literally hundreds of wolf, cougar, and grizzly and black bear kills, and they do not pack anything, especially skeletal remains or heads. They don't pack them miles away. They just don't. It's never happened before. I know of a grizzly that dragged a full moose carcass about 400 yards uphill once, and it was a bear that did it. But that's about that. That's the most extreme example of me seeing something, dragging something away. So there isn't, you know, I've used steel cable and I've cabled carcasses to trees intentionally for bait for predators in the past. Everything, as long as there's a little bit of cover there or it's in the timber, every single predator is more than happy to come and feed off that carcass attached to whatever it's attached to. They just are. And if they don't, they at least come by and you catch them on the camera. So whatever broke that chain and made that thing disappear, it is what it is. Take from it what you will. Believe it or not, who knows? But thankfully we have this man coming forward and sharing his knowledge and experience with us so that we can take more points and more notes out of that experience to add to our knowledge base. right? And that's what this channel's about.